Welcome to the April 2015 Parent in the Know video blog, Child Lying and Parenting. Hello, I'm Dr. Lilydale McManus, President and CEO of Parent in the Know, and we do parenting and child social emotional assessment and reporting. Our mission is for you to have an effective and enjoyable parenting experience to support those ever-important positive child outcomes. One of the resources we offer is to explore cutting-edge research on important topics through our blog, and this month we'll be taking a look at child lying and parenting. There are few behaviors that get parents as distressed and many times angry as when our children lie. But would you be surprised to learn that lying is actually a normal part of cognitive and social emotional development? And further, that certain kinds of lie-telling can benefit social interactions? Lying is pretty complex, it turns out, because not only do children get better at lying as they get older, there's a strong socialization factor from parents that influences just how, when, and to whom children lie. In fact, research confirms that we as adults lie frequently ourselves, and our children observe this. In this month's blog, I'm going to showcase the research of Dr. Victoria Talwar and her team, who study truth and lie-telling in children. Let's begin with the developmental stages of lying. Lying generally falls into two categories. A, self-serving, which is lying to not be punished or have a negative consequence, to have an advantage over someone, or just to feel better about ourselves. And B, prosocial, to spare someone's feelings or to help someone out. Developmentally, the ability to engage in prosocial lying occurs later than self-serving lying. Between the ages of 2 and 4, young children are already able to lie quite effectively. This is related to their now understanding their mind and thoughts are not connected to their parents, and to realizing they can say no as a way to separate their own feelings, wants, and thoughts from others. At this first stage, the child is usually trying to get something for themselves or avoid something negative. However, they do get easily tripped up. After about 4 years of age, children tell both self-serving and prosocial lies, and they get better at thinking about how the listener is going to respond because the child is more cognitively sophisticated. Children 6 to 8 years old can start to understand the motive and attitude that can be a part of lying, not just the words that are spoken. Once we get to 10 and 11-year-olds, the majority of children are quite good at lying and can really put on a good show with a sincere face and tone of voice. As children move into the teen years, self-serving lying, also called antisocial lying, decreases while prosocial lying stays in place. At a general level, lying is considered inappropriate and bad, yet lying is actually encouraged in certain social situations, namely when it helps others through sparing their feelings. This makes lying a paradox because it's both undesirable and desirable. So how do children figure out which is which? Past the cognitive maturity aspect, parents both directly and indirectly teach their children about honesty. Starting very early, parents socialize children that they should tell the truth and that lying is not acceptable. Yet at the same time, they teach their children, sometimes explicitly and sometimes implicitly, not to always tell the blunt truth. This is to maintain social conventions, like being polite and following rules of etiquette. A certain amount of prosocial lying is considered an important social skill as it shows consideration of a person's feelings and can help facilitate positive relationships. Accompanying what to say, children are also taught to hide their negative emotions while doing so. The majority of children have started to learn and apply this by the time they are preschoolers and continue to refine their skills over time. Antisocial or self-serving lying is generally not considered appropriate by adults nor by children, it turns out. Still, most children engage in some amount of antisocial lying, but this typically is not excessive and declines in adolescence. However, in cases where it is chronic, it has been found to be associated with a lack of self-control, poor school performance, and problems getting along with others. This last due likely to the fact that trust is lost in relationships with chronic lying. Let's now look at parenting style and children's lie-telling. Talwar and colleagues have found that different parenting styles are related to children's lying behavior. They studied 3 major styles. The authoritative parenting style is marked by warmth and responsiveness, consistency, and where the parent reasons with the child and focuses on social order. The authoritarian parenting style is one in which parents tend to be overly strict with expectations, use harsh discipline, and few reasons are given about rules to children, and discussion is discouraged. The permissive parenting style is indicated when the parent typically under-monitors, isn't sure about how to handle misbehavior, and is inconsistent with expectations and consequences. The researchers found that children with authoritative parents engaged in more pro-social lie-telling and proposed this is related to the approach authoritative parents take in discussing the feelings of others and consequences of behavior. On the flip side, when children engage in self-serving lying, authoritative parents will highlight the harm that can be done to others. As a result, such children with authoritative parents may have a more advanced social and emotional understanding than children whose parents have other styles. There is some evidence to suggest that children of authoritarian parents may practice more self-serving lying to avoid harsh punishment for minor misbehaviors. Permissive parents tend to be more inconsistent and may send mixed messages to children, which makes it difficult for them to understand the differences in expectations around pro-social and antisocial lying. Overall, it turns out that children typically tell fewer antisocial and pro-social lies to their parents than to unfamiliar adults. On the surface, this might seem surprising, as with regard to self-serving lies, the parent is the agent who generally administers negative consequences. However, Talwar and her colleagues propose that at least in the case of minor transgressions, young children are used to getting caught lying by their parents and might even be comfortable with knowing they will not be harshly punished. However, they have no way of really knowing how an unfamiliar adult might respond, so they're more likely to hide the fact that they did something they were told not to. With regard to pro-social lies, the researchers note that parents tend to emphasize to children they should lie to spare others' feelings or to get along with unfamiliar people more than they ask or expect the same behavior toward themselves as parents from their children. So in summary, lying can be a particularly tricky area in parenting if we aren't aware of a few key points. First, lying is a normal developmental process for children and represents their advances in both cognitive and social-emotional functioning. Second, lying is not completely bad. When parents help children learn to engage in a moderate degree of pro-social lie-telling, particularly with adults and peers they don't know well, this allows the children to gain an important social skill to build and maintain both personal and group relationships and functioning. Third, self-serving or antisocial lying is also common, and parents should expect to see some of this behavior in their children. However, this type of lying is not healthy if it is chronic and interferes with children's relationships. And finally, practicing the behaviors of authoritative parenting can facilitate children understanding the differences in pro-social and self-serving lying. These include modeling, having ongoing and age-appropriate discussions around different kinds of lying and the surrounding circumstances, and staying calm but firm when the child disappoints. So, if your child occasionally says he brushed his teeth as he's eager to play, yet the toothbrush is dry, but he tells your elderly aunt he loves the sweater she knitted as a gift for him, you've probably got a normally developing kiddo and shouldn't have too much worry regarding lying. I'd like to share the references used in this article. Popliger, Talwar, and Crossman, 2011, Predictors of Children's Pro-Social Lie-Telling, Motivation, Socialization Variables, and Moral Understanding, found in the Journal of Experimental Child Psychology. Talwar and Crossman, From Little White Lies to Filthy Liars, The Evolution of Honesty and Deception in Young Children, found in the 2011 Advances in Child Development and Behavior Journal. And Williams, Kermeyer, Simon, and Talwar, 2013, Children's Antisocial and Pro-Social Lies to Familiar and Unfamiliar Adults, found in the Infant and Child Development Journal. You can also find the text version of our blog post on our website at ParentintheKnow.com/child-lying-parenting. Parent in the Know provides mail-in parenting role and child social-emotional assessment completed at home by parents who self-report. Parenting styles is specifically covered in the research-based assessments we use. If you are interested in knowing your parenting wellness score in this area, along with the many others included, or if you're a counselor who would like to include assessment in your practice through us, I invite you to learn more and get started at ParentintheKnow.com. Thank you so much for taking the time to view this video blog. I hope it was useful and informative. And please feel free to share it and to follow us on social media.